The American school system is one of the most hated institutions in the country. Students call it prison, parents call it failing, teachers burn out, politicians argue about it endlessly. And yet every morning, tens of millions of kids walk into buildings across America, and somehow the machine keeps running. As a student, school feels oppressive. As a substitute teacher, it feels chaotic. And after experiencing both sides of it, I started wondering, what is school actually designed to do? Because I don't think the answer is as simple as to make workers. I think the American school system is something much bigger. I think it's one of the largest social experiments ever attempted. When you're a kid, school feels unnatural. You wake up early, sit in rooms you didn't choose, study subjects you may not care about, and ask permission to use the bathroom. You're graded constantly, compared constantly, managed constantly. So at some point, most students ask, what is the point of all this? Why do I need algebra? Why do I need to read books I don't care about? And honestly, those are fair questions. From the perspective of a teenager, school feels less like education and more like forced participation in a system you never agreed to join. But then I became a substitute teacher, and the whole thing started to look different. As a substitute, you see the school system without the marketing. You see students who care deeply, and students who completely checked out. Teachers giving everything they have, and teachers one bad week away from quitting. Classrooms that feel productive, and classrooms that feel like they're barely holding together. And the biggest thing I realized is this. It's a miracle that anything gets accomplished at all. You're managing 20 to 30 young human beings at once. Every single one with a different home life, different personality, different attention span, different things going on that you don't know about. Some want to be doctors. Some are dealing with stuff at home nobody in the building is aware of. Some are gifted. Some struggle to read. Some don't want to be there at all. And yet the system keeps moving. Not perfectly, not elegantly, but forward. That changed my perspective completely. I stopped seeing school as just education and started seeing it as infrastructure. People say school exists to prepare students for the workforce. And yeah, part of that's true. School teaches punctuality, deadlines, routines, how to operate under authority, how to complete tasks you didn't choose. The bell schedule literally resembles factory organization. But reducing school to worker training misses the bigger picture. Because school is also preparing you for adulthood itself. Think about what school is actually teaching outside the textbook. How to socialize, how to speak publicly, how to handle embarrassment, how to cooperate with people you genuinely don't like, how to navigate hierarchies and deal with unfairness, how to exist inside a system larger than yourself. That's why people say workplaces feel like high school. Because high school was a practice, the tour. And school might be the first place where many people learn that the world does not revolve around their feelings, which sounds harsh, but adulthood works the same way. But there's another reality people don't like saying out loud. School is a form of childcare. And once you work inside schools, that becomes impossible to ignore. Parents work jobs. Society needs children supervised. Laws require attendance. So schools become massive containment systems for millions of kids during the day. And I don't mean that cynically. It's just reality. The modern economy depends on schools existing. Without them, society would collapse logistically. And when you understand that, you start understanding why schools sometimes prioritize order and structure over perfectly individualized learning. Because they're managing chaos at a scale that's genuinely hard to wrap your head around. And this is where I think America gets interesting. Because despite all the criticism, I genuinely think the United States is attempting something impressive. Not because the system is perfect, but because of what it's trying to do. American schools accommodate enormous diversity. Different races, religions, cultures, income levels, languages, family situations, all inside the same institution. You can walk into one classroom in Texas and see students from completely different worlds sitting next to each other. Some wealthy, some poor, some first-generation Americans, some barely passing, some aiming for Ivy League schools, and somehow, many of them still get somewhere. That doesn't mean inequality doesn't exist. It absolutely does. Some schools are underfunded. Some kids fall through the cracks. But the fact that upward mobility exists at all on this scale is remarkable. The system still pushes a standard. You can become more than where you started. And millions of students try to meet it every year. Now here's the part people don't love hearing. Some students genuinely don't want to be in school. And honestly, part of me thinks maybe some people shouldn't be forced through the exact same pipeline. Not everyone learns the same way. Some people are builders, artists, entrepreneurs, tradespeople, athletes. Forcing every type of mind into the same academic structure creates real friction. But at the same time, a society can't function if children are given unlimited freedom with no structure at all. So school exists in this constant balancing act between freedom and order. Too much freedom, chaos. Too much structure, oppression. And America has been trying to solve that balance for generations. That's the experiment. I think people misunderstand school because they assume it has one purpose. But it's actually trying to do multiple nearly impossible things at the same time. Educate children, socialize children, supervise children, equalize opportunity, prepare citizens, prepare workers, maintain order, encourage ambition, create some sense of social cohesion for millions of completely different human beings. That's an absurd task. And honestly, the fact the system functions at all is kind of unbelievable. Not perfect, not fair, not efficient, but functional. And maybe that's the real purpose. Not creating perfect students, but creating people capable of participating in modern society. When you're young, school feels like a prison. When you get older, you start to see it was also a training ground, a social experiment, a childcare system, a competition, a community, and for a lot of people, a pathway upward. The American school system is messy, chaotic, flawed, sometimes deeply frustrating. But it's attempting something almost impossible, taking millions of completely different children and somehow turning them into one society. Whether that experiment is succeeding or failing depends entirely on who you ask.